Opposition. Yesterday, Andrew Scheer asked Justin Trudeau not to sign the UN Migration Pact, arguing it will allow foreign bureaucrats to influence Canada's immigration system. The pact is a declaration to work together on the global migration crisis. Some countries are opposed to it, including the U.S. and Australia. Canada is set to sign the pact next week. What impact would the agreement have on Canada's immigration system? Demetrios Papademetriou is the Distinguished Transatlantic Fellow and co-founder of the Migration Policy Institute in Washington. Hi there. Thank you so much for being with us. Really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
I want to start off with the most recent comments here in Canada from the leader of the opposition. Andrew Scheer says, as we mentioned, the Global Migration Pact, quote, gives influence over Canada's immigration system to foreign entities. And other countries have also raised that concern over sovereignty. Are they right to be worried?
Well, there's hyperbole is the lifeblood of politics. So certainly there are a lot of countries. It's not just the United States and Australia, but several countries in Europe, Italy, and others who will not sign the compact. And they will not sign it simply because they think that it's a slippery slope. Although it is non-binding, it can get to a point where a particular minister or prime minister, government, may decide to make further commitments. But it is also preposterous to argue that somehow, if Canada were to sign the compact, somehow it would give up its sovereign right to select its own immigrants. It may open up itself to more humanitarian visas, a larger number of refugees, cooperating with other countries on a variety of issues, from borders to, social security benefits, etc., etc. But I think that the truth is more in favor of Mr. Trudeau rather than the opposition.
The agreement isn't legally binding, as you mentioned, but could there be pressure in the future to change that? And there are also concerns being voiced, for example, about how the domestic courts might interpret it and consider it over the course of the decisions that they make.
And these are very legitimate concerns. Courts in all of our countries now play a significant role, in effect, in making immigration policy. So that's legitimate. It is also legitimate that in the past, global compacts, conventions, UN conventions on the right of the child, etc., have been imported into national legislation, and then they have been expanded through the court system. So at some point, a government in Canada or elsewhere that's not been careful about what its sovereign rights are about, and the direction in which it should lead them, can actually open up to more immigration. But I foresee no circumstances under which a government will have to change its immigration laws.
There are a number, you mentioned that there are a number of countries, not just the U.S. and Australia, and not just the opposition here. We've got Austria, Hungary, Slovakia, the Czech Republic, Poland, New Zealand, Belgium, and you mentioned Italy as well. Has the UN or whomever might be responsible for garnering support for this failed to do a good job in explaining the purpose of this pact?
No, they have done an excellent job. In fact, this is one of the most carefully crafted international agreements. Both of the ambassadors, the Swiss ambassador and the Mexican ambassador that led the process, had been very, very carefully and resisted very, very strongly the entreaties and push on the part of NGOs to do away with essentially putting people in jail and returns and sovereign rights at the border, etc., etc. So the document is a fairly rational document. Again, it all depends on how it is going to be implemented. If some governments believe that this is simply a set of obligations that they are undertaken, then we could find ourselves down 5 or 10 years down the road where part of our immigration policy will be determined elsewhere. But to a very large extent, these documents tend to be very aspirational, and governments will cooperate on matters on which they feel that it is good for them to cooperate.
Why do you think then those countries are not willing to sign it?
Well, because part of almost all of these countries have coalition governments or have governments that are led with extreme skeptics when it comes to immigration more generally, and they do not want any circumstances under which they may have to take one more immigrant than they want to, or immigrants of a certain persuasion, religion, etc., that they don't want to take. So for them, national sovereignty is absolutely the line on which they're willing to defend their rights as Austrians or Hungarians or Slovakians or Italians to make their own decisions. These are people that are highly skeptical about UN instruments. But again, intergovernmental arrangements like the one of the Global Compact do not translate, I think, under any circumstances, that we are going to get to a point sooner rather than later where international migration governance will be a multilateral affair.
I just have about 30 seconds left, but is the potential impact of the agreement, of the pact, lessened by the fact that not everyone is signing on to it, that there is that list? Are you worried about the potential impact of it?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, the fact that you do not have unanimity there means that it's going to be a heavier lift on the part of the International Organization for Migration and the other 7 international agencies, UN agencies, that will play a part in the implementation of the compact.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Thanks, Mr. Papademetriou.
It has been my pleasure.
Here in